So, review time, right? Now, yes, in the last video, my book haul, I did say I will have 2 read by now, right? This one and The Perfect Marriage. I did not follow through with that. Okay, granted, I read this in 6 hours. Not bad. So I could have read the other one literally just the next day in the next 6 hours, but I didn't. And what are you gonna do about it? Okay, what are you gonna do? So, you're getting a review. This was 359 pages. Okay, 359, and I read it in 6 hours. Someone do the math. I want to know how quickly I read, because I didn't really take any breaks either. Anyway, honestly, a really good book. Such a good book, and she's such a good writer that I ended up getting not 1, not 2, but 3 more of her books. As I should. Where's the other one? Oh, it's over there right now, but the other one is The Inmate, and I'm very excited to read that. I know a good one that I hear people like raving about, and that I think is getting turned into a movie, is The Housemaid, which makes sense because when I was at Target there was three of those. So yeah, the people love that one, I guess. She had to write 3 of them. Well, same like characters, I guess, but just, you know, continue the story, whatever. You know how trilogies work. Anyway, this one, I really liked it. I'm kind of disappointed with how it was ended. The whole time, obviously, I was trying to figure it out, you know? Like, I don't know. Should I spoil it? Like, do I tell you guys what happens? I don't know. I've never reviewed something before. So I'm gonna spoil it. Sorry. That's just how it's gonna go. So, basically, the main character is Sydney Shaw. That's who we're in this perspective of most of the time. If not, we are in the perspective of Tom, who is... Okay. But, okay, because it switches perspectives a lot. So sometimes it'll be Tom in the past, like the very first few pages is the prologue, when Tom is like 4 years old or something, like 4 or 6 years old, and so he's talking about this girl named Daisy, and they've known each other since they were 4, obviously. Duh. Talking about how on the playground he's like, oh my gosh, like I like her so much, you know, I want her to be mine. So they're probably 6. A 4-year-old doesn't think like that, but he doesn't say how old they are now. So we know they met when they were 4. So I'm gonna chalk this up to being like, if she's still in pigtails and he's recalling the past, I'll chalk it up to them being like 7 or 8. We'll go that. We'll say that's fine. So he says, oh, like, oh my gosh, you know, like I love her. I've known her for so long, you know. And then so they sow the seed in our little heads that, quote, and I'm terrified the moment I get her alone, I'll wrap my fingers around her pretty her pretty white neck and squeeze the life out of her. Obviously insinuating that he is the killer. Obviously insinuating. Like, that makes sense. So that's why the twist comes, and it was like really upsetting. I didn't like it one bit. Like, it was fine. It was good. It was fine. It was good. It was fine. It was fine. It was good. Not what I was hoping for. So, then it switches from the past to the present day Sydney, and she's a girly in New York, right? Single girly in New York. Her mom's pressuring her, you gotta find a man. And what's refreshing about this book is it's like a young adult novel, but the main characters are 34. And I'm like, you know what? As she should. Okay? As she should. Maybe that's why it didn't go how I was expecting it, because she made actual good decisions. Not teenage decisions like you read in the other books, you know. I'm like, oh, how different. Anyway, her mom's like, you've got to find a man, you know. Your cousin is like 38 and she had a baby, so there's still time for you. And it's like, okay, great. And so Sydney's going out on the town, yada yada. And so she meets this guy, Kevin. She says looks like a young Matt Damon. Valid. Okay. And then the guy shows up. He does not look like a young Matt Damon. And she stays. She stays. And the whole time, he's just being like, he tells her arms are flabby. He makes fun of her for drinking Diet Coke, and then as soon as his food comes, he drinks her Diet Coke. And I'm like, Freida really wrote this guy to be the worst. Yeah. So then, fast forward a little bit, she's on the way home, you know, she's kind of trying to escape him, and he's like, no, let me walk you home. Let me walk you home. And she goes, no, you don't have to. But he says, no, I insist. And so she lets him walk her close to her apartment, but still 3 blocks away. And then he's like, how about a good night's smooch? And she goes, Oh, and then something else to know about the character is she has, yes, von Willebrand disease. So I actually don't even know if that's real. I don't even know if that's real. I guess I should have looked it up. But in the book, that's what it's called. So we're gonna run with it. Anyway, she'll get a cut, and then it bleeds way more than normal. It's like a clotting issue. Yeah. Anyway. So, oh yeah, okay. So on their way home, obviously she says no. He says yes. And so she says no. And then they get into a bit of a scuffle, and then she kicks him, and then Mystery Man runs over, and he's like, hey, you know, I'll be a hero, I got you. And he goes, do you need me to call the police? And because he has it like dialed up, and she's like, no, it's fine. Anyway, yeah, so Kevin leaves, thank goodness. And then Mystery Man also leaves. Spoiler alert, Mystery Man is Tom. Valid. And so Tom, at this point, was leaving their apartment from meeting with her friend Bonnie. Okay, so Sydney and Bonnie live in the same apartment and they're friends. Bonnie was just hanging out, just walked home from a date with Tom. And then Tom was leaving that when he ran into Sydney. So, like, it's crazy. Anyway, Sydney also has this best friend, Gretchen. Okay? Gretchen, remember her. Remember her. And so Gretchen, Bonnie, and Sydney all go to this yoga class together. Okay, as they should. Girlies, besties, love that. Gretchen has a long-term boyfriend, Randy, who later on becomes a fiance, but like kind of forget about that, you know, whatever. She also works at an art museum, and then Randy is also the like superintendent, what's that called? The landlord of the apartment complex that Bonnie and Sydney live in. So Bonnie says, hey, can you come up to my room. I think the toilet's not working or something. And he goes, okay, I'll be there in the morning, so 9:30. And then Bonnie's like, oh, he like gives me the creeps after they left, of course. And so she's telling Sydney, you know, you have to be there. You have to come up also. And so Sydney comes up with Randy, and they're like, and she's like, knock, knock, knock. You know, Bonnie's not answering. Uh-oh, that's not good. Why should I answer it? So Randy has the keys to all of the apartments. Great. And so he lets them in, look around, nothing's amiss really, except her phone, purse, wallet all on the counter. So Sydney like does some digging, exploring around. She walks herself over to Bonnie's bedroom. Bonnie's dead. Uh-oh, not Bonnie. That's not good. And so obviously they call the police. The detective on the case shows up, Sydney's ex. What a twisted web we live in. What a twisted web. So, yada yada yada, Bonnie's funeral rolls around, and Kevin is there. Ew. Kevin's there. Ew. But he's only there for like a split second, and then he leaves. Like, he doesn't say anything to anyone. He's just there, and then he leaves. And Sydney spotted that. And she's like, that's weird, that's creepy, ew, you know? And I'm like, literally, that's terrifying. So, there's also a lot of time jumps. So, we're just kind of also going to jump around here. It's like 6 months in the future. And Sydney's on another date. Girl. No. Anyway, she likes the guy, he's nice and stuff, you know. And then she gets a nosebleed. Her nose starts bleeding because of her disease. She says that happens sometimes, not as often, but it does happen sometimes. And so the guy, I don't even remember his name, but he's like, oh my god, you have to go to like the hospital, that's not good. And then he faints. And he faints. And I just think that's comical. That's really funny. And so, entering, I think it's a cafe. I think it was a cafe. Is mystery man Tom, and he rushes over and he's like, we've got to stop meeting like this, you know. Aw. And then he goes, he's asking the guy on the floor. He's like, oh, are you okay? I'm a doctor down the street, you know. Are you okay? And the guy goes, I'm fine. You've got to help her out, man. You've got to help her out. And she's like, no, it's fine, you know. She has some like stains on her shirt now, but like, she's like, God, yikes. And so the fainted guy, he leaves, and then Tom's like, hey. And so they go next door to a gift shop, and he gets her an I Heart New York shirt, and they have like a banter about that, whatever. And then she didn't want to throw away her blouse that got the stains on it. Valid. So she was like, it doesn't fit in my purse. And so Tom's like, I'll take it. And then he took it and he put it in his pocket. And then they hang out for the rest of the day. And then and then I think it was this part. He walks her back to the apartment and he goes, you live here? You live here at this apartment? That's... And then like he gets all freaked out about that. And she goes, okay, so maybe Mystery Man and the guy Bonnie was seeing really are the same person, because that's something she had thought about earlier and then dismissed. But it's like, exactly, no, you were on the right track. You were on the right track. It's also, not to pat myself on the back, I called that pages before they said it. So if I got one thing right, that was it. And I'll take it. Anyway, we'll take it. A small win is a win. Okay, a small win is still a win. So, he goes, oh, that's really weird, you know, I'm just like feeling sick, you know, I gotta get home. And so she's like, okay, weird. And so they split their ways. He goes home, she goes up to her apartment, and she's like, oh no, he still has my blouse with the stains on it, which she actually never gets back. Never gets that back. Anyway, I'm trying to think of the most pivotal parts because this is already running long. What else is there? After that, they're going steady, you know. It's a few more months have passed, you know. They're trying to find out who murdered Bonnie, such and such and such. She's working with Jake, her ex, the police detective, trying to figure out who murdered Bonnie. Is the apartment still safe, you know? Yada yada. Filler. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead. We're just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, we're just, yeah, that's fine. You're not missing out on anything. The next most pivotal part of the story is Tom and Sydney. Oh my gosh, backstories too. The however many years ago, 20 years ago, when they were teens. Okay, so a little bit of Tom's backstory. I'll try to get through that quickly. Him and Daisy grew up best friends. He always loved her. She loved him, I guess. And Tom had a nice mom and a very abusive dad. Not great. Daisy's family was nice. Her dad was the police chief. Valid. Tom also had this best friend, Slug. Oh, dude. Because, for so long, I was really hoping that Kevin turned out to be Slug because they had written the characters kind of in a similar way. Or Randy too. Randy could have been Slug because there was this whole thing about, I think she wrote it that way on purpose. Because there was this whole thing in one of the, years ago in high school, from Tom's perspective, where Slug was he eats bugs, but he also loves ants. And then later in the story, Randy loves his anthill. He gets the square in the ant farm, the show. Sorry. And they go, I don't know, kill him for all I care. And he goes, oh, that would be horrible. And so I'm obviously she did it on purpose to make me think that they're the same person, but they're not the same person, which further helps the twist. So maybe I do love the book. Okay, maybe it was written perfectly. Okay, anyway. Where was I? Oh, the past. Okay. So Tom still has dreams and fantasies about killing Daisy. He doesn't want to, of course, but it's just who he is, you know? It's just who he is. And so eventually, like I told you, his dad was very abusive to him, yada yada. And so he goes, while his mom is out of town, he's and he gets him. That's the safe way to say that. He gets him. Y'all get it. He gets him. So he calls over his best friend Slug. And he goes, hey man, you've got to help me out. And so they end up burying him in the woods in the middle of the night. Oh my gosh. I feel there's so much to say and not that much time. Okay, so maybe the parts I'm leaving out, it's gonna be good because I'm not spoiling the entire thing. I can't give the entire context. That's just way too much. So you're gonna just want to go read it. And you should, because it's good. I think I've come full circle. It's a great book. So anyway, so him getting his dad also further cements that whole thing, oh, he definitely killed Bonnie. There was this other girl last year who died. He definitely killed her too, huh? Whatever. And oh my gosh, Sydney's gonna be next. But okay. It's not gonna make sense because I didn't say the entire background. But Gretchen, Sydney's best friend, turns out to be Daisy from the past. And she was still so obsessed with Tom that she was getting all the girls that he was going out with. Basically, she was a threat to everyone. So eventually she would have gotten Sydney too. So it's crazy. She ends up Randy as well, which is unfortunate because Randy was just a decent guy. Plot development. And then Sydney is like on the floor. She's been drugged a little bit with oleander. It was in the wine, but she only had one glass, so she's still like kind of conscious. And so Tom goes like, no, like, you know, I'm done with you. I told you I'd keep your secret, but we were done, you know. Secret. You gotta go read it, okay? You'll understand. But I told you we were done. And she goes, but I can't stop thinking about you. Oh, but I need you. And he's like, and she's like, and I know you feel the same. And he's like, you're right. You're right. And I'm like, that's me. That's me to Tom. No. That's me to all of them. So Gretchen Daisy is like, I just gotta take care of one problem first. And she goes to get Sydney on the floor. And Tom goes, no, don't touch her. I think that's pretty close to exactly what he said. He says, oh, it wasn't as dramatic as I remembered, but it's fine. He goes, if you touch Sydney, I'm not going with you. Do you understand me? But she knows everything, she pouts. His voice is stern. You don't hurt Sydney, okay? If I go with you, this needs to stop. Needs to stop. Gretchen looks down at me with unadulterated disgust on her face. Can't believe I thought she was my best friend. She really had me fooled. Whatever. And so, they run away together. Oh, and important, they say to each other, the killing has to stop. Oh, what if it's like necessary? Or what if it's someone bad? And he goes, well, that's a different story. Fast forward again. Just a little bit into the future, Sydney's entering her apartment. She's not her apartment, but like the lobby area where like the wall of mailboxes are. She goes to collect her mail. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna spoil what happens to him, but you're gonna understand why if you read the book, because I'm not explaining all of that. Trust me though, when I say this was really satisfying. So she opens up a letter that was just hand addressed to her, like handwritten, and she opens it up, and it's a lock of disgusting blonde hair. It says, quote, Sydney, Kevin won't be bothering you ever again. Tom. Remember, nobody else dies, Daisy, even if they deserve it. Well, that's different, of course. So that's the discussion they had. It's different. He deserves it, and you'll understand why if you read it. I did find that really satisfying. I was like, okay. But you didn't hear it from me. Okay. You've just got to go read it. Anyway. Yeah. That is unfortunately how the book ends. And I wish there's a second one. I wish that Tom had stayed around with Sydney, but of course that's why they built up the whole thing of like, I've known Daisy since I was 4, you know, I'm obsessed with her, I love her, all this stuff, you know, I can't stop thinking about her. And so, of course, when Daisy comes back into the picture, you know, He just can't help it. But also, it's like, maybe he's trying to be. He only killed his dad. He never killed anyone else. Oh, he never got anyone else. That's been Daisy from the entire start. I'll count it for you, but you've got to go read it. Okay, so Daisy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, and Tom got 1. 6 versus 1. Yay. So no, sorry, 7. Daisy offed 7 people, and Tom got 1. So just puts that into perspective for you. Yeah. Anyway, it was a very good book. I finally come full circle. I do like it, even the ending. Even the ending. I really wish there was a second one. I wish it had ended a little bit differently, but it was still good. It was still good. It was very well written. It was very well written. Overall, very satisfying. Only a 6-hour read. Probably 5. If you don't freak out as much as I did, if you don't try to hypothesize as much as I did. I almost broke out a whiteboard, okay? I almost broke out a whiteboard to take notes. I should have. Next time you're at your local Target or Barnes & Noble or online bookshop, cop a copy, because very good. And I'm hoping, she's got so many books, dude. She's got so many books. I don't know where she's getting these ideas from, but go off, queen. Freida, get it. Get it. We love it. We love to see it, girl. Whatever. It was good. It was good. I'll be reading the rest of these sometime.